The other EO that he signed that got a significant amount of attention from across the political spectrum, both on the left and the right. This this bill, which is specifically not bill, sorry, it was an executive order that specifically focuses on burning the American flag.
Yeah.
And that you shouldn't be able to. He's trying to prevent the burning of the American flag and somehow attach some kind of criminal charge to it. Now, I read this executive order, and to summarize it, first of all, in the Oval Office, he said, if you burn the American flag, you're going to get a year in jail. I have literally no idea where he's getting that from because that's not even laid out in the executive order.
Yeah.
There is nothing in the executive order that says if you burn the flag, you're going to end up in jail for a year.
I think this is one of those things where he just says it and assumes that Bondi will kind of sweep up the mess a little bit later. Like, he has long held that he feels like the burning of the American flag is abhorrent, which a lot of us
Yeah.
feel like that. And he has been talking about how he thinks that it should be criminalized. The burning of the American flag should be criminalized. He's been saying this for years. So it's not a surprise. To me, what is more of a surprise, and this has like been a continual surprise with Trump, is why people don't kind of like help him tailor the language of these types of things ahead of time so that they don't have to like rework it on the back end. It's like just to spend like 10 minutes with him, say, Mr. President, we cannot just say we're going to imprison people for a year without having actually
It's like you
like
can't do that.
you can't just say it. I mean, I understand he wants to just be able to say things and they happen, but this isn't the first time. He'll say something and then later he'll be like, well, but we, looked into it or the courts challenge it or whatever. So I don't understand how they're going to I don't know how they're going to do it, but hey, someone burned the American flag in front of the White House this morning or in DC this morning. They arrested him. So I'm not
Well,
exactly
so
sure.
this is what the EO says is that the DOJ is being instructed to prosecute desecration or to the fullest extent permissible under any available authority. So
Does that just mean like find a law that they're breaking in order to be able to?
that is
But
adjacent. So it's not necessarily that you have burned the flag is why you're being
it's that
arrested,
like
but
you're
like
in a place, like you're violating someone's like space or you're in on private
or
property or
like, let's
something.
say there's a no burn law in public spaces or something like
Okay,
that. So you
I get
get,
it.
or let's say that maybe you can make the argument that it was somebody else's property and you've caused
Mhm.
damage to property.
Yeah.
There's also, he mentions like incitement to violence. The bar for you to, for speech or anything that's been determined as free speech to elevate to incitement of violence is
Mhm.
really high.
Yeah.
So to even say like, oh, because burning the flag incites violence, according to who and what,
Yeah.
and the Supreme Court has already ruled on this. This was originally ruled on in Texas versus Johnson in 1989. I posted the picture of this dude on my Instagram stories yesterday. It looked like a picture of a guy today with a 19s filter
Yeah.
on it because he had
Yeah.
the Palestinian, that
Yeah.
keffiyeh
Mhm.
around him, and he had like a communist t-shirt and he was
Yeah.
holding, so like tale as old as time. But
Yeah.
regardless, it doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter if you don't like it.
Yeah.
It's still legal. Now, another thing that came up a lot for discussion before we moved on is people making comparisons to when there was, I don't know, peeling out on a crosswalk and you
Mhm.
damage the crosswalk and it's a pride
Yeah.
crosswalk, or burning a pride flag. And that other times people have been charged for, I mean,
For
they'll
hate
try and
crimes,
charge him
basically.
for a hate crime, but many a times the hate crime has been dropped. And what if they do get charged, they get charged for something else. So it's
Well,
either
probably
like,
destruction of like city property or something like
or
that.
private property or
Yeah.
something along
It
those
just comes
lines.
down to it. Like, you can really hate something and think that I think people that burn the American flag have a couple screws loose. Like, I don't agree with it. I don't like it. It makes me sick to my stomach when I see it. I have a hard enough time when my kids are holding an American flag, like on the 4th of July, we were
Upside down or
hoisting
something.
one up. Yeah, and Paul or Meg was like for 1 second holding it and it like brushed the ground. And all three of my other girls were like, no, and they go like running to it. Cause we've told them like this, it's not sacred. Okay, it's not holy, but it's our country's flag and we should be proud of it and take care of it. and follow the flag codes. And so, yeah, I don't like it when I see someone doing this. I think it's gross, and there's many more effective ways to get your point across. But I don't have to like it in order to acknowledge that we have the First Amendment for a reason. And I don't want anyone coming after my right to free speech just because they don't care for what I'm saying either.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and actually that ruling in 1989, it was a 5-4 ruling, but it was
wasn't it all
mostly
conservatives?
it was conservative
Yeah.
judges or like originalist judges that.
Scalia, baby. He
And
was,
I have a clip of Scalia talking about this in 2006, specifically on this ruling. So and if you guys don't know who Scalia is,
where have you
excuse
been?
me, where have you been? Scalia is one of the, like, I would say in modern times, one of the top most respected conservative justices, probably next to uh, Thomas.
Thomas.
I like blanked out there for a second. And when did he pass away? He passed
Oh gosh, it was
away.
like 8 years ago or so because we were still in
Yeah.
California then. Yeah.
And it was a big deal. But let's go
I
ahead
was
and
very
let's
sad.
listen. Let's listen.
He's right.
I mean, it's pretty
Pretty
simple. And he
simple.
even said, I think, like right after that ruling, he was like, "Look, I would arrest all of these sandaled, long-haired hippies or whatever." He said
Yeah.
along those lines, if I could. He's like, "But I am not a king." And what
Yeah.
was really interesting about this EO is that I would say across the political spectrum, people were like, "You,
Everybody hated it.
yeah,
Everybody.
like
Yeah.
you can't do this."
Yeah.
Now, I do think it's justifiable that, or an argument can be made that if you're being charged for damaging the pride flag or something or some memorial of the pride flag, or frankly, and then you get charged, they look for an adjacent law that you have violated,
Mhm.
then I mean, I think we can apply that in both instances. You know what I mean? But the issue is that in a lot of those cases, it's because somebody has snatched the private property of another person. They have gone onto somebody's private property. I mean, I think there was like 3 boys that were being investigated for running their scooters over a crosswalk. I think it was
Yeah.
in Washington. And
Mhm.
ultimately that was dropped too because I mean,
What? What are you gonna charge them? First of all, they're minors. Second of all, they're riding scooters. Third of all, it's a crosswalk with a rainbow, like, colors on it.
on
It's not an
the
American
road.
flag on the road. Like, I mean, that's just to get a headline because nobody's gonna follow up with it.
So,
Um,
but
but yeah.
regardless, nobody really seems to be completely on board with this, contrary to what the president might say, because he'll say,
But
like,
I
everybody
wanna know what
loves
happened.
this.
Well, I wanna know what happened with the guy this morning. So there was video of a man this morning, a 20-year veteran actually,
Yeah.
burning the American flag outside of, I think it was either the White House, it was in DC. And he was arrested, and he was saying out loud, like, "I didn't hurt anybody, there's been no violence, and I'm being arrested for expressing my First Amendment rights." And I wanna know what he was charged with. Like, I wanna know why he was
I mean, my
arrested.
guess is that he gets detained and released. That would be
I know,
my
but can
guess.
you just, I mean, I guess you can just arrest people for doing things you don't like? Like, what's he being arrested for? That's my question.
That's the question. And I mean,
Yeah.
that literally just happened right before we got on here. Like, I just
Yeah.
started seeing the story. So we'll see how that develops. But I mean,
Yep.
it's almost like I even said this to my husband. I was like, this is likely to create the opposite reaction. Like, people are going to be more likely to burn the American
Yeah.
flag in protest of you saying that you can't burn the American flag.
Yeah, I saw a couple, like, super conservative voices on X yesterday being like, "Look, I think burning the American flag is disgusting, but nothing has ever brought me closer to doing that than being told by my government that I cannot."
Yeah.
And
Jesse
I
Kelly
think,
said that.
yeah, and I was like, "Ooh, okay,
Yeah.
but, don't tread on me."
So, I
So,
don't know, we'll see. I guarantee, but he can write this executive order, and it's going to take someone to do something like this veteran, for example, and be charged, and then him, push the situation through the courts. It's not
yeah.
gonna hold.
No.
It's just not. And if anything, it might bring in maybe some questions about when it happens with other symbols, like religious symbols or like the pride flag, for example, but it's not gonna hold.
Yep.
It's just impossible.